We got another one. Another executive was gunned down.
Blackstone CEO Wesley LePatner was murked in Manhattan yesterday. Ha ha! Ha ha, you dumb bitch!
And now, guys, we got to talk about a dark story. Honestly, there was this really tragic and horrifying shooting in New York City this past week. And one of the people killed, but actually by chance, they don't believe that this was targeted, was a CEO of a major investment firm, Blackstone, one of their divisions of the firm, not CEO of the whole company. And you can probably see where this is going. Yes, leftists on the internet are celebrating this woman and mother's death, rolling on her grave, taking a victory lap in truly demonic fashion, while clearly having no idea what they're talking about on any of the things they're saying about the company they're talking about. First, though, here's Fox News reporting on the shooting itself and the tragic lives that were lost.
4 people murdered, including police officer Didarul Islam. 36 years old, served on the force for just 4 years, and he leaves behind 2 young children, and his wife is pregnant with their 3rd child. The investment firm Blackstone is in that building, and one of the executives was killed, Wesley LePatner. Surveillance footage here shows the man police have identified as 27-year-old Shane Tamura walking toward that Park Avenue high-rise carrying heavy weaponry. Here is NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
The building security camera footage shows the shooter enter the lobby, turn right, and immediately open fire on an NYPD officer. He then shoots a woman who took cover behind a pillar, where he shoots a security guard who was taking cover behind the security desk. The shooter then calls the elevator, which opens in the lobby. A female exits that elevator, and he allows her to walk past him unharmed. He goes up to the 33rd floor, which is Rudin Management, and begins to walk the floor, firing rounds as he traveled. 1 person was struck and killed on that floor.
Employees inside their offices had stacked furniture and anything they could to find doorways against doorways on the 33rd floor, barricading themselves from the killer. The building is located in the heart of Manhattan on the famous Park Avenue.
So my heart goes out to everyone involved here. It's such a terrible, terrible story. So many people were traumatized in their workplaces. An innocent police officer was killed, just a brave man trying to serve his community. I'm honestly horrified by it, and I think most normal people are. But I kid you not, left-wing people on the internet are thrilled. They are celebrating this development. They think it's awesome and wonderful that this woman in particular, the Blackstone CEO of one of their divisions, was murdered in cold blood in a random act of violence. I hate that I have to show you guys this compilation, but I do. Take a look.
We got another one. Another executive was gunned down. Nice.
Blackstone CEO Wesley LePatner was murked in Manhattan yesterday. Wesley's company is responsible for buying up thousands of single-family homes across America in order to artificially inflate the price, pricing many Americans out of the option of owning a home. So I really only have one thing to say about her and her tragic death. Ha ha! Ha ha, you dumb bitch! What does karma taste like?
When the media emphasizes that a dead CEO had a family, it reminds me of when a defense team will emphasize that a rapist had a bright future ahead of him. Like, so did their victims. So do most people. Who gives a shit?
Let's go, it's CEO season again. Let's hope it lasts till December like it did last year.
That Blackstone CEO was a mother. So were the thousands of single mothers who have had their apartment buildings bought by companies like Blackstone only to have their rents driven up hundreds of percents so that they could be evicted and Blackstone could just make more money. She had a husband. Yeah, and that husband's probably never had to, nor will ever have to, look at his finances and try to figure out if he wants to pay the electricity this month or be able to buy food. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think that all of our problems can be solved by gunning down random people in the street. Not random ones at all.
Oh no, the Blackstone executive got shot. I love those little griddles. Wait. Oh, it was the group that's single-handedly causing the housing crisis. Oh yeah, let's fire up our Blackstone and put some hot dogs on the griddle, some saucies on the grill. Yee, oh yeah.
If you're having a bad day, I just wanted to hop on to let you know that the CEO of Blackstone, a private equity real estate firm, was one of the victims in the recent shooting.
I don't really care. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud, but we need to make it dangerous to be a billionaire. We need to make it dangerous to be filthy rich. We need to make it dangerous to be racist, etc. You know what I mean? Because we need to make it to where people will go, do I really want to be a billionaire? I'm just gonna die. So why would I, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I'm almost left speechless by some of this. But guys, this is demonic. This is satanic. This is evil. What we just listened to is the face of pure, unadulterated evil. And it is a increasingly widespread sentiment online and with young people who lean progressive in particular. I want to read you, I'm going to dive more into it for sure, but I want to read you guys some of the top comments on one of the TikTok videos from Daily Mail, I believe, just reporting on the news of this woman's death. Top comment, she's looking up at us, heart emoji. Oh no, would someone please think of the rich person? So she led the way on monopolizing the housing market during record homelessness for private gain. Nothing of value was lost. I needed this news today. Thank you. I will spend as much time mourning her as she did being concerned about the people whose lives she helped ruin. I'm too poor to care. Should have been a better person. IDK. Anyway, guys, there's a few key points here I want to discuss. First being that if really at any point, really in any scenario, you find yourself happy or feeling joy because a fellow citizen has been killed in cold blood, you might want to check that. That's not healthy. That's not normal. You should discuss that with a therapist or with God, because that's just like not what. I mean, maybe if it's like a global villain of some kind, even then though, I mean, maybe you wouldn't be sad about it, but I don't really believe in celebrating death. I think that's a dark thing. And if you find yourself relying on the news of other people dying, of innocent people being victimized in this office building, and families being broken apart, and trauma and tragedy making you smile, making you happy, getting you through the day, like something in your life and in your soul is deeply broken. I mean that sincerely. Also, the idea that why would we care about her husband or her children suffering because they've not had to struggle to pay their bills is just strange to me. You can't have empathy for a wealthy person. Also, you're assuming they've been wealthy their entire lives and never had to struggle or never grinded or climbed at all, which I don't know their backstory, but that's not necessarily true. And regardless, you should still feel empathy for your fellow citizens who have their family members randomly killed in acts of violence, even if they're not worried about their mortgage payments. Like, what? And guys, I really just think the truth is that a lot of people hate success. They resent success because they feel deeply inadequate, or for understandable reasons, in some cases, they feel like they can't get ahead in life, so they hate the people that do. That I can't get on board with. I can't support that kind of resentment because it's not their fault that the system or society is set up or rigged in the ways that it is. And they may deserve to be where they are. Just because you've faced hurdles or you're not happy with your life doesn't mean they did something wrong. And economic success is not a zero-sum game where you're poorer because someone else is richer. Finally, guys, I have to just tell you, I don't think any of these people know what Blackstone is. I don't think they know what it means to be an investment firm. They certainly have no grasp of the reality of the real estate market and the role that institutional investors like Blackstone play in it. They have completely fabricated and mythological ideas about how that works. But also, they just totally ignore the important service and role that Blackstone or firms like it provide. For example, Blackstone is a massive investment firm, right? And over 100 million people worldwide rely on their investments for endowments, for universities, for pension funds that provide retirement benefits to nurses, firefighters, and teachers. It's like by making successful investments that grow over time, they enable millions of people to retire comfortably. So you're acting like this is some inherently evil corporation doing something terrible to the world. I'm not saying that they are, pure in everything they do or they've never made any unethical investments or anything of the sort. But like just because they're a big investment company does not mean they are therefore evil and bad. They actually provide an important service for people and help millions of people. And when it comes to the role that firms like Blackstone play in the housing market, basically nothing these people believe is true. Housing prices are not high because corporate investors are buying up all the houses. That is a tiny, basically statistically irrelevant portion of the market. The reason that housing is so expensive is because there is a shortage of the supply of housing, because major metropolitan areas particularly make it very difficult and very expensive through zoning, through regulations, through these mountains and mountains of red tape to build housing. The solution is very clear. Build, build, build. It is not because institutional investors are buying up all the houses and jacking up prices. This is a myth. This is something that is spread like wildfire on social media, but has no basis in reality. I'm going to show you guys a couple graphs with the actual facts. 1, institutional ownership as a percentage of total single-family housing stock. Out of the total single family housing stock of 105 million units, only 0.5% is owned by institutional investors, and that other than Blackstone, and then Blackstone owns 0.06%. So add them both together, and you're not even close to 1% of the total housing inventory. So even if they were these villains who were buying houses and trying to extort people as much as they can, which actually isn't true. They have a below average eviction rate. For 2 years during the pandemic, Blackstone owned real estate properties, didn't evict anyone. And they actually provide a lot of services and improvements. They specifically maintain certain affordable housing units. It's more complicated than them just being evil and just trying to price gouge everybody. But even if they were, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of the market. They don't have monopolistic power. They're not the main cause. All of this is a hallucination. It is mythology spread like wildfire on social media with no basis in fact or truth. Some people say, yeah, well, they only have a small percent of the total housing, but they're buying up all the new housing. Also, fact check. False, not true. When you look at the data for what institutional investors are doing in terms of purchases, it peaked at less than 5% in 2021 and 2022. Institutional investors buy 1 to 2 to 3% of all new homes. They are not gobbling them all up. When you see statistics about how they bought 40% or they bought these big statistics, they are not real. They're not true. A lot of them go back to like Medium articles, not real sources. And guys, I almost feel like I shouldn't even be taking the complaints seriously, because even if everything they said was true, and again, it is not, but even if Blackstone really was buying up all the houses and causing all these problems, the solution would be to pass laws and regulations prohibiting them from doing so, to pass supplements for affordable housing, to use the political process in our country to fix the problem, not to support murder of random CEOs. That is textbook what these people are advocating for. Killing CEOs and billionaires as a form of political protest is textbook terrorism. We have a significant chunk of the left in this country that openly supports terrorism against the wealthy and against business people. And that threatens the very fabric of our country. It really does.